Dear Santa, Merry Christmas to you. I know you will be tired from running here and there giving children what they wanted, but I want something totally different. I want the well-being of my family. I want no harm to reach them. Please fulfill my wish. My second wish is that I want my parents to always be with me, and my friends too. My third wish is a bit silly. I want a dog, not from you, but from my parents. I wish they'd agree. Those were the words of little Arushi writing to Santa. Little did she know that will be her last letter to Santa, and that her end will be both brutal and heart-wrenching. Hi guys, and welcome back to Crimeco, where we share true crime cases from all over the world in such details like you have never heard. If that sounds like your thing, then stick around. Also, hitting the like button and leaving a comment really helps, so thank you. Barty Mandel, who had just started working for the Talwar family a week ago, had quickly established a routine. The 35-year-old housemaid had recently moved to Delhi in search of employment. She was hired to clean the home of Rajesh and Newport, a couple residing in the Noida suburb of South Delhi. Both Rajesh and Newport were dentists with busy schedules, and they needed someone to fill in for their regular maid who was on leave. They lived in a large apartment complex housing around 10,000 people, and Barty's tasks included cleaning their 3-bedroom home twice daily. The Towels also had a live-in servant named Hamraj Banjade, who would let Barty into the house using an exterior mesh security door. On May 16, 2008, at 6 a.m., Barty arrived for her morning shift, but Hamraj didn't respond to the doorbell. After a few attempts, Barty proceeded upstairs to retrieve her cleaning tools, suspecting that Hamraj might be running late. However, upon returning, she found Newport at the door instead of Hamraj. Newport explained that Hamraj might have gone out and locked the security door behind him. Barty suggested dropping her keys from the balcony, and Newport agreed. After retrieving the keys, Barty made her way upstairs again. This time, she managed to open the exterior mesh door and entered the apartment through the wooden door left open by Newport. Inside, she discovered a chaotic scene. Newport was in distress, and Barty was led to Arushi, the couple's 13-year-old daughter, who was lying in bed with her throat slit. The situation had triggered Newport to call Hamraj on his mobile, but the caller remained silent before hanging up. Meanwhile, Rajesh noticed a bottle of Valentine's Scotch whiskey on the dining table, which was unusual as neither he nor his wife had been drinking the previous night. The bottle was partially consumed and had bloody fingerprints on it. They also found their daughter's room in disarray, with blood splatters on the walls and Arushi's body on the bed. The family called their close relatives and friends, who all gathered at the apartment. Police arrived about an hour after the discovery, but there was no immediate effort to secure the crime scene, allowing people to enter the apartment and inspect various rooms. Suspicion fell on Hamraj, the missing live-in servant, who had vanished without a trace. His quarters showed signs of disturbance, and his phone was missing. Rajesh and Newport believed Hamraj was responsible for their daughter's death due to his sudden disappearance and strange phone behavior. Hamraj, a 45-year-old from Nepal, had moved to India in search of better job opportunities and had been living in their quarters. Hamraj sent the money he earned to his family in Nepal. He had been working for the Talwars for about 8 months as a domestic servant, which was common for middle-class professionals in urban parts of India. His duties included grocery shopping, meal preparation, and receiving visitors and other employees. The Talwars had never had any issues with him until now. They believed he had fled to Nepal after killing Arushi and offered money to the police to pursue him across the border. The previous night seemed normal, with Newport and Arushi arriving home between 6 and 7 p.m. Rajesh was taken home by his driver around 9 p.m. The family had dinner at 9:30 p.m., and Arushi was given a Sony digital camera as an early birthday gift. Arushi went to her room around 11 p.m., and her parents also went to their room. Rajesh stayed up using the internet until after midnight, and Nupur went to bed after rebooting the router. Arushi's body was later autopsied, revealing she had been killed between midnight and 1 a.m. The police named Hemraj as the prime suspect and asked the press for help in sharing his details. Arushi's body was cremated in Hindu tradition, and her loved ones gathered to pay their respects. Arushi was remembered as a fun-loving but shy girl who excelled in school. Just days before her murder, she had given Nupur a Mother's Day card expressing her love. Arushi's ashes were taken to Haridwar, a Hindu pilgrimage site, for scattering in the Ganges River. K.K. Gautam, a retired police officer, noticed blood stains on the terrace and realized the murder weapon or the killer may have been hidden there. The police investigated further and found a decomposed body on the terrace. The body appeared to be that of a middle-aged man. Dinesh Talwar called his brother to inform him that another body had been discovered at his residence. Rajesh and Nupur hurried home, carrying Arushi's ashes with them. Rajesh was unable to identify the body due to its swollen and disfigured face. However, he recognized the shirt and hair of the deceased. After consulting with his wife, Rajesh believed the body belonged to their servant, Hemraj Benjade. The prime suspect in the case turned out to be the second victim. Like Arushi, Hemraj had been killed with a weapon that left a U or V-shaped scar. He was wounded at the back of his head and his throat had been slashed. Both victims were estimated to have been killed between 12 and 1 a.m. Blood on the whiskey bottle indicated that the killer touched it after the murders, but no identifiable fingerprints were collected. A bloody footprint on the terrace was made by a size 8 or 9 shoe, which did not belong to Hemraj as he was wearing slippers. A large bloody handprint made with Hemraj's blood was also found on the terrace, but it had been touched by multiple people before forensic examination. The police decided not to collect DNA or prints from it. The air cooler panel placed on Hemraj's body was never examined for unknown reasons. With the main suspect cleared, investigators had to start over. The family's technology confirmed the timeline provided by the Talwars. Photos from Arushi's digital camera showed the family spending time together at 10 p.m. The last photo was a selfie taken in her bedroom. However, some photos prior to the last one had been deleted. Rajesh Talwar was active online until around 12 a.m. Hemraj Benjade's phone was missing, and the last call he received was at 8:30 p.m. The next calls were from Nupur the following morning. The phone pinged off a cell tower nearby, suggesting the phone was still in the apartment complex. Arushi's phone was missing when her parents found her body. Although the phone was not found, its records were accessible. Arushi usually stayed up texting until after midnight, but her phone was switched off at 9:10 p.m. on May 15. Police noticed frequent communication between Arushi's phone and another number belonging to a 15-year-old school friend named Anmol. Anmol was the last person to try to contact Arushi on the night she was killed. Police questioned Anmol, who revealed that Arushi was upset about her father's affair with Dr. Anita Durrani. Anmol also mentioned that Arushi had other male friends and had been in contact with them. Anmol's interrogation led investigators to suspect that Arushi was having an illicit relationship with Hemraj. Police theorized that Arushi confronted her father about the affair, leading to a confrontation between Rajesh and Hemraj on the night of the murders. According to this theory, Rajesh killed Hemraj on the terrace and then murdered Arushi in an honor killing. Rajesh and Nupur were called to the police station, but they turned back without ever arriving. A week later, police brought them to the station again, revealing new evidence related to Dr. Anita Durrani. Police believed Rajesh was having an affair with her, which led to a strained relationship with Arushi. Based on claims from Anmol and a social worker, police believed that Arushi and Hemraj were in a relationship. Police believed Rajesh killed him in a fit of rage. Newport defended her husband in a television interview, denying his involvement in the murders. Police leaked Arushi's emails and messages to the media, portraying her as promiscuous. Despite support from some, many suspected Rajesh of being the murderer due to his behavior and actions. The case received widespread media coverage and attention from the public. India's Minister for Women and Child Development criticized the police for slandering a murdered girl and ignoring regulations. The case was eventually handed over to the Central Bureau of Investigation. In 1987, a special unit was established to investigate high-profile crimes. 2 weeks after the murder of Arushi Talwar and Hemraj Benjadi, the neuter police inspector general was demoted and the CBI took over the case. While Rajesh Talwar was still in police custody, the new investigative team noticed overlooked clues in the case. They found 3 glasses in Hemraj's room, 2 of which had alcohol remnants. There were also 3 bottles of wine, beer, and Sprite in the room. The bed had depressions that indicated multiple people had sat on it, and the servant's toilet showed signs of multiple users. The CBI also discovered that Krishna Tatarai, an employee of the Talwars, had been held by the neuter police during their investigation. He worked at their dental clinic and lived nearby. Krishna claimed that Hemraj had informed him of Rajas's affair with a neuterani. He also said that Arushi was devastated by the affair and sought comfort from Hemraj. The CBI realized that Krishna's testimony had influenced the police's original theory, and they re-interviewed him. Krishna eventually confessed to being involved in the murders along with 2 other Nepalese workers, Rajkumar and Vijay Mandal. The 3 men had been drinking together on the night of the murders and had planned to hurt Arushi to seek revenge against Rajas. They admitted to killing Arushi and Hemraj, and all 3 were arrested. However, their confessions were made under the influence of the Naka analysis test and were not admissible in court. The case faltered due to lack of evidence, but a year later, Arushi's phone was found with a man named Ram Bull. This discovery cast doubt on the confessions of the 3 suspects. The case's lead investigator was replaced, and the new team focused on Arushi's autopsy report. The doctor's observations suggested that Arushi had likely engaged in sexual activity before her murder. However, this was later debunked as not necessarily indicative of sexual experience. Dr. Doher did not mention certain details in his original report because he considered the findings to be non-specific and strange. He had never conducted an autopsy on a female body before, so he didn't realize that these details should have been recorded. The doctor who performed the autopsy on Hemraj was also interviewed. He stated that the cut to Hemraj's throat was consistent with a sharp-edged, light instrument. He also mentioned that the position of the injury and the skill of the cut suggested that a person with surgical training was responsible. Investigators concluded that a scalpel was likely used to slash the victims' throats, and noted that the dentists, Rajesh and Nupur Talwar, had surgical experience. Photos from the crime scene led investigators to believe that a golf club was used to hit both victims in the head, resulting in U or V-shaped injuries. Rajesh's possession of golf clubs and his amateur golfing hobby were noted. A forensics expert studied the crime scene photos and identified 2 distinct impact splatters on the wall, suggesting that Arushi and Hemraj were attacked in the same room at the same time. The lack of blood on stuffed toys and the way the bodies were covered indicated that the crime scene was staged. Based on the evidence, investigators believed that Arushi and Hemraj were victims of an honor killing due to their intimate relationship. An article was published about the new investigation, hinting that Rajesh was a suspect. The CBI cleared other suspects and concluded that circumstantial evidence pointed to Rajesh and Nupur committing the murders in a fit of rage. However, there was a lack of physical evidence to prove their guilt. The Talwars filed a petition asserting their innocence, but the court turned the CBI's closure report into a charge sheet charging them for the murders and ordering a trial. Rajesh and Nupur lost their appeals, and their trial began in 2013. They were charged with destroying evidence as well. The prosecution presented a theory of how the murders occurred, involving Rajesh discovering Arushi and Hemraj together and attacking them with a golf club. Nupur allegedly helped cover up the crime. A key witness and evidence like bloody palm prints were used to support the prosecution's case. The defense attempted to refute these points. They interpreted this as meaning that she had received guidance from the CBI. During a later interview with a documentary film crew, Bharti contradicted her previous statement in court by saying that she had not pushed the out-of-door until after obtaining the keys. The Taoist driver also testified that the out-of-door had a tendency to stick and required a strong push to open. The Taoist requested that additional evidence from the crime scene, such as the bloody palm print, the golf club, and the whiskey bottle, be subjected to DNA touch testing. However, these requests were denied. The defense argued against the whiskey bottle evidence, claiming that Rajesh would not have left it out if he was the killer and could have easily hidden it in the concealed bar cabinet. They also disputed the CBI's claim that the Taoists must have heard the crime due to noisy air conditioners running in both bedrooms. A sound simulation test suggested that they might not have heard what was happening in the other room. The defense also refuted the assertion that the victim's neck wounds were made with a light scalpel-like weapon, stating that a larger, blunter weapon was more likely used due to the size of the injuries. A gynecologist's testimony contradicted the autopsy doctor's report, stating that Arashi's injuries were not consistent with dilation, and that force used after rigor mortis would have caused noticeable injuries. Hemraj's blood or DNA was not found in Arashi's room, making it unlikely that the Taoists cleaned it all up while leaving Arashi's untouched. The defense suggested that Hemraj was killed on the terrace, and his blood on the staircase came from Arashi's mattress, which had been taken there and left on a neighbor's terrace when they couldn't unlock the door. The defense also had an alternative suspect, Krishna Tatarai, whose belongings contained a kukri knife with animal blood and a pillowcase stained with Hemraj's blood, which was initially mislabeled as belonging to Krishna. The judge eventually ruled that the Taoists were guilty of murdering Arashi and Hemraj and sentenced them to life in prison. The High Court later found the evidence insufficient and acquitted them, leading to public opinions and debates on their innocence. Do you believe they did it? Share your theories in the comment, and see you on the next one.